Hey folks, this is Kalani. If you cast your minds back a week or so, Blizzard let loose that they'll be bringing Valor back as a currency. Until now we didn't have anything solid to really go on when it comes to how much Valor we'll be able to collect and how the system overall is going to change when compared to the old one that was removed. So while the information isn't fully implemented on the PTR right now, we do have a blue post explaining how they see things panning out. So this is all PTR footage, information and speculation, and as such is subject to removal or change. This might not be the final product, so there's your nice shiny disclaimer. Valor is going to change in a few ways. The first is that Valor isn't going to have a weekly cap. That's pretty important because Heroic Dungeons, Mythic Dungeons, weekly event quests and looking for raid wings all reward Valor. Previously, with the 1000 Valor cap, you could cut out the pieces that you weren't interested in. Not anymore. If you want to get as much Valor as possible per week, you'll have to complete pretty much everything on the list. Thankfully, it won't matter quite as much with us being at the end of a raid tier and expansion cycle, but there's always going to be those people who absolutely have to do everything possible to get an edge when it comes to raiding. This is nothing new, but each of these reward areas does have some underlying reason why they've had a tasty carrot added to lure people in. Now, it's all fine and dandy talking about this expansion, but by the looks of things, Blizzard is actually gearing up for Legion, meaning that these changes are probably aimed at Legion as well and will continue everything in this system forward. So that could get pretty tiresome, especially as you progress through raids. That first raid tier having to do all of this stuff, it's going to be interesting to say the least. Now, looking for raid is going to be the most controversial because folks running normal through Mythic probably don't care all too much about running that very same raid with most of the mechanics gutted and half the raid standing in fire. You know, on the other side, this is going to be a race to get out as quickly as possible. These raiders want their Valor and they want it quick. They're not going to be stood around waiting for people, and you know, if they can carry the boss with 5 people, they're going to carry the boss. So I foresee pretty much every looking for raid group stomping bosses in record time with the help of all these souped up shiny raiders, especially on those Tuesdays, Wednesdays and maybe even Thursdays. It'll be interesting to see if the negativity increases because of those very same reasons though. It's a weird move to grant a little bit of Valor for the old looking for raids as well. Does anyone even do those anymore? Completing the Hellfire Citadel looking for raid wings will reward you with 150 Valor for the first time each week, but you can go back to Blackrock Foundry and Highmaul and do those wings for 75 Valor per wing per week. So that's just kind of interesting, I think. Very strange, but I guess any alts or any new people are going to have quite a bit of help gathering those bits and pieces for their legendary rings, so that might be a little bit easier. That might be why there's Valor there. Weekly events rewarding Valor is going to be interesting as well. These are the quests that you get every week, which resets with a new bonus weekly event. These quests have you running around doing all sorts, such as completing Apex's bonus objectives, or running time-walking dungeons, or even smashing a few skulls in skirmish arenas and PvP. The Pet Battles event will not be awarding Valor, as the quest is account-wide, just like pet battling, so that's a week off, but this means anyone wanting to complete everything that awards Valor may be pushed out of their comfort zone. This can be a really good thing, introducing people to parts of the game they may not have been interested in previously. This Valor carrot is really going to spread people out through those areas and those parts of the game and spread their time quite evenly, week in, week out. But the currency being tied to the weekly events is a really smart way to get people out there, except for maybe Apexis events because Apexis crystals are lame. Here we go with our usual methods of farming currency. Dungeons. There's a twist this time though. Heroic Dungeons will only grant Valor on the first dungeon per day, so 7 per week. Each day you can net 100 Valor for completing the first Heroic Dungeon, meaning you cap out at a measly 700 per week just from Heroic Dungeons. Now that's not even 3 upgrades, so you'll have to step into Mythic Dungeons 2 if you want to get a good chunk of Valor without touching the rest of the menu. Mythic Dungeons grant 300 Valor at the end of the dungeon, so still not boss based, but remember that you can get loot from Mythic Dungeons once per week per dungeon, so you're going to be limited to 1 clear per week. 8 clears in total if you do all of the dungeons, and that's kind of limiting as well. But that nets you a nice tasty 2400 just from Mythic Dungeons. Throw 700 on top from your heroics, you can get a good chunk of this Valor just by running dungeons, which is pretty cool. Mythic Dungeons will probably be the one thing everyone clears as well. Due to the new gearing changes, you can grab 725 gear, as well as the shiny new heirlooms which scale to level 110, making them very useful for the start of Legion, so getting a group for those is probably going to be a damn sight easier than it is right now. Now if you're asking, what can I spend this delightful currency on, Kalani? I've got one answer for you: item level upgrades. No, really, that's the only answer there is. Valor doesn't seem to have a vendor, and we haven't heard anything about any other plans, so it's just the item level upgrades. Each upgrade costs 250 Valor, and you can upgrade items twice. If you complete every Valor awarding slice of content, you can get 4,875 Valor points per week. Quite a bit more than the old cap. If you complete every little thing you can fully upgrade 9 items per week, so 18 upgrades. Obviously, as you cut more of the content out, looking for raid for example, you start to lose upgrades. But thankfully, with us being so close to the end of the expansion, most folks shouldn't feel too pressured into completing a lot of this nonsense, unless they really, really want those mythic kills. But remember, you can get really shiny gear in Mythic Dungeons now, so maybe it's a good idea to save up some of those upgrades until you get some 725 pieces. That's all we know about for Valor for now. Remember, it's all subject to change and might not reflect what goes live, but if you have any questions, queries or theories, leave them in the comment section below and we can rant and rave about how Justice was better. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.